Everybody has off days, and for me, seems like yesterday was an off day turned into a good podcast. The day before was an off day, and the day before that was an off day. And today was an off day. So, yesterday, if you didn't hear the podcast, pretty much, I had, I was super tired all day long. And I was just getting dizzy head rushes all the time. And I pretty much just sat on the couch all day. And today was pretty much no different. I woke up, and the thing is, yesterday, after recording that podcast, I saw one video because a couple days ago, I saw an Alex Hormozy video, and he said that routines are keeping you weak. And I watched that video, and I wasn't completely satisfied with the what I got out of the video. So yesterday I saw another Alex Hormozy video talking more about, and he was talking about the anti-routine. And pretty much I saw that video yesterday and then went to bed. And literally I remember last night when I was in and out of consciousness, just drifting into sleep, I was thinking about like just everything that I've been doing wrong. I had this, I thought that if I just added more and more to my routine, one of the biggest things I've been preaching lately was if you just copy a successful routine and just do it, then you're guaranteed success. But the thing is, I have been doing that for 2 months and I haven't seen any results. And I was aware that it's not going to happen instantly. I've been doing a routine for more than 2 months, probably 4 or 5 months, but I was aware that I wasn't going to get results right away. And I was aware that it was going to take time. But the thing is, I kept thinking that the more and more stuff that I add to my routine, the more successful I'll be. And there was one thing wrong with it. My routine was so packed that I didn't have any time for rest, which was a huge issue because I just learned about how you need to have rest when you're doing creative work like this podcasting. And so that's my first reason why I was just realizing that the routine is bad, but I didn't think any other reason why it was bad. So it just off of that one issue was not enough to change things. So I just went on with my days, kept the routine. And then I learned about the anti-routine. Alex Hormozy talked about it in his video, and he said that the difference between, and then he said a statement. And when I heard him say that, it instantly sparked something in me because I say that all the time. I say the difference between successful people and average people is this. And so if he's saying it and he already knows how to gain success and he's already done it, then his word is more valuable than mine. And so I watched the video, and he said the difference between successful people and average is that successful people don't have more of what average people have. They don't have more in their routine. He said that average people look for things that successful people have that the average person does not, and then they add it to their routine. But the thing that the difference is that successful people don't have something of what the average people do. So let me explain. Pretty much, average people look for more and more things to add to their routine. And that's exactly what I was doing over the past over 100 days, but especially over the past 100 days once I got into this podcast. I was adding more and more things to my routine, and I was looking for more and more things to add to it until it just got so packed where I had zero time in my day. But he's saying that the successful people are the ones that don't have stuff in their routine. They're the ones that take things out of their routine. And one thing that successful people don't have, that average people do have, is an off button. which is something that I feel like I definitely do have, um, or I don't have an off button, which puts me in the category of successful people, because he another at so in the beginning of the video he basically gave like the general strategies and like the conceptual ideas, and then the second half of the video he gave actual tactics, like practical things that you can apply. And he gave like 7 tips, 7 things to apply, and I wrote them all down. And the thing is that I'm already doing like all of them except for a few. So the 7 tips are: the first one, change your phone number. So, and he basically explained why, and it was because people, like, you don't owe anyone a response. And it's basically a huge distraction in your day to have people texting you, which did have plans on changing my phone number once I graduated, or once I like started to see some success, but I haven't done it yet. But I've pretty much got the benefits from it already, because I am not even like I am not on my phone at all ever. And when I am on it, people have just gotten used to my absence on my phone, that they just don't even text me anymore. Like, it's been probably like 3 weeks and I've only gotten like 1 text, and that was from like my family group chat. So that's that. Like, I'm doing number 1 basically. I'm not doing it, but I'm getting the results from it, which is change your phone number. And then the second one is stop going to events unless you are unless you are ignorant to what needs to be done. That one, he is more of a higher level thing. Like, he was talking about masterminds, which I'm not even going to those in the first place because I don't even have the money to afford that. But I'm not really doing that anyways. But the thing is, I don't really know what needs to be done, and I'll talk about that later on. And then the third one is take no meetings from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. And I'm not even taking meetings. I don't even have a team, and I don't even have like a business up yet. So like most of these tips are for like further advanced people. The fourth one is stop treating weekends differently. Wake up and go to the bed at the same time. That is something that I've been doing for quite some time. I treat my weekends as the same. Like, I go to bed at the same exact time every single day, even on weekends, and I wake up at the same exact time every single day, even on weekends. So I go to bed around 6:10, and then I wake up around 4 o'clock, or I wake up at 4 o'clock every day, and that's like the same every day, even on weekends. So that's one of the big tips that I already am doing. And then number 5 is just maintain in the gym. So that is one that I've kind of been dipping my toes into. And I'll get into, like, one of the things he said is you only have so much like growth juice. One of the things that I realized is I'm kind of dipping my toes into business right now. I'm kind of like testing it out, seeing if I like it or not, but I'm not fully committing. So let me tell you something. I see so many people around me that want to get a good physique. They want to build some muscle, but they're just kind of dipping their toes in it. They're just like going once a week, once every other week, or something like that. They're just like testing it out. And they're not getting any results, obviously. But the reason why I got so much results is because I literally just invested my entire life into that. Like, that was all I did. Like, that was my only purpose every single day, was to go to the gym. From like the beginning of sophomore year all the way until like the summer going into senior year. So literally for pretty much 2 years, I literally only cared about going to the gym. That was my only purpose. And like, I did not dip my toes. I like fully immersed myself in that. And that's why I got so much results in that amount of time. Like, that's why I was able to see success. Like, I didn't worry about anything else except for that. And I am, like, just yesterday and today, I've just become conscious of the fact that I'm dipping my toes into entrepreneurship. I'm dipping my toes into business because I'm just kind of like testing out the waters. I'm kind of just recording some videos and I'm not really doing anything other than that. And the only way you actually see success is by investing like your entire life to it. And like he said, you only have so much growth juice. And I was investing my growth juice all around the board. Like, with my routine was so jam-packed. And I say it was because this morning was the first time that I didn't do my routine in like a long time. So my routine was so jam-packed that I was investing my growth juice in maintaining my balance, improving my balance, improving my physique, getting my breath more optimal. Like, there was a lot of things that I was investing in. Like, so many things that I was working towards improving. So I was spreading myself so thin over all of these things. And then when he said you'll only have so much growth juice, Alex Hormozy, he's a very built guy. Like, he has got a very good physique, and he literally said in the video that during that like phase when he was building up his business, literally he just went to the gym 2 days a week just to maintain, and he fasted for two days a week. Like, he literally didn't eat at all for 2 days a week. And he had he has an amazing physique. I'm sure he had a great physique back then also. And so if he definitely, he invested everything into the business. So that's what I realized I need to do, because I kind of like shifted to only going 3 days on, 2 days off instead of 7 days a week, which, yeah, that's like kind of half invested now. But now I'm just like half invested in building my physique and half invested in business. So I'm kind of like getting nothing out of both. So that's another issue. And then so number 6 was fast 1 to 2 days a week. And then he only ate caffeine and bone broth on the days where he fasted. And that he said that saved him a lot of time, like cooking food and eating. Like, and also I'm sure that your focus increases when you fast, because during summer, I did some research on fasting and intermittent fasting, and it's actually got some pretty good benefits for your focus. So I'm sure that definitely helped him. And the 7th one is delete all social media, which I already did. I did. So going to my notes for today's podcast, towards the end of the notes, I said, like, I'm doing all the things, but not seeing any of the results. Like, I'm doing all the things. I deleted my social media. I am, what else am I doing? I'm recording every day. I am not on my phone ever. I'm doing all the things, but I'm not seeing any of the results. And I realize that it's because, like I said, I'm like dipping my toes in the water. So I have to either go all in or nothing, because if I kind of dip my toes in the water, I'm not going to see any of the results. That's like I said, you can't just dip your toes into the water when you're going to the gym. You're not going to see any of the results. If you just go like one day a week, you're not going to see any results. Like, that's why, like, Hamza, when he was on business, when he was going into business, focusing on building his business, he only went to the gym 1 day a week to maintain. So if 1 day a week is maintaining at the gym and you are just trying to start out the gym, that means you're going to maintain your already zero physique. Like if you're just trying to get to the gym, if you're just trying to build your physique and you go 1 day a week, which is dipping your toes in the water, you're just going to be maintaining what you already have, which is nothing. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm essentially maintaining what I already have in my business, which is nothing. So I have to either go all in or just not even do anything. So I'm kind of at a crossroads right now in my life where there's definitely things are going to be changing in the future. Like there's no point in going on further like this. Like there's no point in spreading myself so thin to where I'm trying to improve like all these different things. So I either drop everything and go back into just focusing on my health, just focus on going to the gym, and realize that I'm not going to be making any money, and then go down that path of I'm probably going to have to go get a job, go to college, like all these things. Or I drop everything else, like going to the gym like all these times, drop my routine, and I drop all this stuff and just focus on business. So I have two choices, and I'm going to choose the business side because why would I go back when I'm already like I know what the like negatives are of both. I know what the negatives are of not working on business at this point of my life. So I'm working on business. But the thing is, I realized that people invest their entire life. So I realized that like the difference, okay, so one of my favorite phrases is the difference between successful people and normal people are, and what I realized is after learning these things in these recent days is that successful people go all in on their thing. They go all in on their business. Just like I went all in on building my physique. But there's one issue. I don't really know what my business is because I'm kind of having doubts about this like podcast. Like for the past couple months, I thought that I was going to be able to build a business off of this podcast. But I'm in the middle of reading a book called Rework. So I am still reading Transurfing, and I was reading it this morning, but I like had a stomach ache all day today and like really bad diarrhea. So I was literally like using the bathroom probably 50 times today. And so I was not really feeling anything. And so I was basically just reading all day, and I didn't want to read Transurfing because I wanted to read outside of my room in a comfortable spot, like on the couch. And I didn't want to read Transurfing on the couch because it's a big book and I was going to have to take notes. So I was reading Rework, which was a book that was sitting in my closet for quite some time. And I'm only reading it because I feel like I can finish it in this weekend. It's like a 300-page book, but there's like barely any words and there's a lot of pictures. So I'm already halfway done with it, and I just read for like 4 hours today maybe. But in Rework, it's basically like a business book. It's about entrepreneurship, and I'm learning like all of the strategies and mindsets behind a successful business owner. Or their term was a startup, or like not a startup. A start? I don't They had a term. They didn't like using entrepreneur and they didn't like using business owner. It was something else. I forgot. But I'm reading this book and I'm realizing that I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, okay, I know what to do. The thing is I'm learning all these business books. They're extremely helpful with general mindsets and what to do, but I don't know how to do it. So I know to get a business idea, like they say find something that you would like to like make a product or solve a problem that you're experiencing. But I don't really know how to do that. Like I'm also reading Transurfing, which kind of tells you how to do that. But the thing is, I am kind of in this phase where I'm inexperienced at Transurfing, and I also don't really know. I just don't know how to do all this stuff. Like they're telling me the strategies, but I don't know how to actually go out on these strategies. So I know exactly what I need to do once I find an idea that, once I find my business thing. Once I find the business idea, I know exactly what to do once I find that. But I don't know what to do in the meantime. I don't know how to do that. So I'm at this I'm at the crossroads where I'm kind of just maintaining what I'm doing right now by recording every day. So basically maintaining my routine, but I'm also realizing that I need to figure out what business I'm actually doing. And that brings me to the next point. I don't know if this podcast is actually beneficial or not. The thing is, one of the early reasons why I wanted to do daily 1 hour podcasts is because of the practice. I've gotten 100 hours of practice by now. But the thing is, I've gotten to the point where I've kind of plateaued for my podcast, so I'm not really improving too much. And so I have to figure out how to improve the quality otherwise. And I don't really know how to, but it's also the thing is that in my day, there's a lot of distractions going on upstairs, and I don't know if you guys can hear it, but you can hear all of the creaks and all the steps people make upstairs in my house, and it's just really distracting. So sorry about that. But I don't know if this podcast is actually helping me, because I had this vision of once I got a certain amount of viewers listening to the podcast, I was going to actually start the business off of the podcast. But I don't even know what product I would make, because I don't feel like an expert. A couple weeks ago, I definitely felt like an expert in my field. But the thing is, the more I'm studying, and one of the things that I said I was going to do is be a guest speaker on other podcasts. And I was doing research, finding other podcasts in my niche. And first of all, I didn't really know what my niche was. I think it's secrets of success, and I also think it's your thoughts, how your thoughts actually affect your success. So all these things. And so I was looking up those keywords in Apple Podcasts today, and I saw all these different podcasts literally called Secrets of Success, and I was looking at them, and the hosts were literally extremely they were experts 100%. They were already successful in what they preach. For me, I kind of feel like an imposter because I'm preaching all this success stuff, but I haven't been successful at it yet. So I don't think that it would work very well to create a business off of this. Maybe this is just a documentation thing, and maybe this is actually just meant for me to practice the skills of podcasting for something else in the future. Or maybe this is what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. The thing is that I know all this knowledge. You would think that the path would be so clear, but it's not. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what to do, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And today I was so tired, and I was getting the headache again, or the head rush this morning, and today was just a really low point. This morning I was really the lowest point I've been in a few months, just because I was I kind of feel sick. I kind of feel tired or burnt out. I'm not sure what it is, but this morning, like my actual physical health was not very great. Like I said, I had diarrhea, but that wasn't even the worst of it. It was just like super tired, and I was getting headaches and also had rushes. Literally just didn't even want to walk around. And it got to the point where I was like, I knew about Transurfing. I knew I was basically choosing all this stuff. And then it got to the point where all of a sudden I was just like, okay, life, I yield. I literally just said that in my mind. I was like, okay, I yield. So what do I do? And then nothing happened. And then I was just laying there on the couch. And then literally a couple minutes later, this like intuitive understanding popped up in my head. And I was trying to figure out like how to actually get out of this situation. Because I've done something like that before where I had a very bad stomach ache, and then it wasn't getting any better, and then I like kind of got out of it by following the Transurfing principles. But I didn't really know how to do it today for some reason, or I wasn't willing to. And so it got to a breaking point where I was like, I yield. And the intuition that I came to was two things. First of all, like, don't worry about the past or the future. Just focus on this present. So it was kind of like an intuitive understanding of the fact that the past doesn't matter. Like, one of the things I was also stressing on was the fact that I may have wasted the past 100 days recording this podcast. I may have wasted the past 100 days not working on business and kind of just distracting myself. So I was also stressing about that. So that's kind of like the past. And then the future is, I don't know if I'm going to be successful. Like, I have all of these doubts in my mind, and I'm like, am I actually going to see success? Like, how do I do this? Like, I know what all these people who are successful are doing. I know what to do, but I don't know how to do it. And so a lot of doubts were creeping in my mind. So that was like the two things that I needed fixed this morning was the doubts of the past, or the regret of the past, the doubts of the future, as well as my actual physical health, like my physical well-being. So those are the three things I needed fixed, and the solution to that was, don't worry about the past or the future. Like, don't worry about the past or the future, just focus on the present. Like, literally, the future or the past does not even exist. Just focus on the present. And I was like, okay. And I applied that. And I was like, just focus on the present, staying awake, present. And then I fell asleep. And I was thinking about the past and the future again. And I was like, oh, no, get back to the moment, the present moment. Am I doing like what needs to be done, or am I improving my current situation? Just take life moment by moment. Just live in the present and make sure you apply the Transurfing principles moment by moment. And so that's basically what I was doing. And it wasn't like perfect. I wasn't like awake and present the whole day. I was falling asleep a lot, but it definitely helped me get out of that rut. And then so that just focusing on the present moment helped me get rid of the doubts of the future and the regrets of the past. But I also needed one more thing helped with, was my actual physical health, my physical condition. And that brings me to the second intuitive understanding that I got. Literally, like, I'm pretty sure I got it maybe a few moments after the first one, or I got them all at the same. I don't know. But that second intuitive understanding was, am I dreaming? Because I was literally just like, I hadn't asked myself, is this a dream, in quite some time, maybe a few days. And then that like little just question popped in my head. I was like, oh, am I dreaming right now? And so I was like, I did like all the tests to see if I was awake or not. And like that, got me extremely conscious of what was going on. And I realized that that's a good test, not just to help get into lucid dreams, but it's a good test to make sure that you're not a victim. Like all morning, I was feeling like a victim of this, like whatever was happening to my physical body. Also, yesterday, I was feeling like a victim. And I didn't really know how to control my situation. I didn't know how to take charge of my destiny, or at least I wasn't willing to. And then that intuition popped in my head, which was, am I dreaming? Which serves two purposes. The lucid dreaming part, which at that moment did not really matter. But the most important purpose of all is to make sure you're not a victim, because at that moment I realized that I was just acting like a victim. I thought that I was a victim of the circumstances to my, like, whatever was happening to my body. And so the moment I was like, no, I'm not a victim. I'm like in charge of what's going on. And from that moment onwards, I realized like, oh, I can actually control my destiny, or I can actually change my relationship to what's going on. And I'm not going to lie, it definitely helped with peace of mind and like end the doom and gloom. But like even right now, I still have like a slight stomach ache and like a slight head, whatever it is. But it definitely helped. Like it may not have helped too much on the physical side, but it definitely helped like mental. And definitely, I think the head rushes are not as bad as this morning though. So that's pretty much like the two intuitions that I came to today. So I wrote a lot of notes and they were kind of out of order for today's episode. So I want to go back to me questioning if this podcast is even like worth it, or if this podcast is even helping me. One, first of all, I understand that it's not going to happen right away. Like, I'm not going to start making money right away. And I understand that even 100 days is still a short period of time to actually start making money. So I understand that I'm still like kind of in the short term for the podcast, and it's a long-term game. So I understand that I probably would not see results until a couple months or half of a year from now. But the thing is that beside all that, when I was reading Rework, there was one chapter or one like sub chapter in it that was talking about like you have to be good at quitting. Like you have to ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Like why are you doing that? And one of the things that they said is like most people are doing it because someone else told them to do it. And like when they asked me why are you doing what you're doing, I instantly thought about my podcast and doubts started to rise. Well, I mean, doubts were already like lingering about this podcast or not. And so I asked myself, why are you doing what you're doing for the podcast? And then the next line in that book was like, most people are doing it because someone else told them to. And I instantly thought of literally the whole reason why I started this podcast was because I read in a book called Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. If you record on your, if you post every day for an entire year, you'll never have to worry about money again. Like that's why I'm doing it, because someone else told me to do it. So that's not a very good why. And one of the things that I have definitely seen in quite a few business books was you have to find your why. And to be honest, I don't think I have a why for my podcast. Why am I doing this? Because Russell Brunson told me to. Like that's not a good why. And then the next thing is, the next like line was you have to figure out like why are you doing it? So I'm not sure. I like one thought popped up in my mind like I want to document my journey, but I'm not really sure. I'm like having a lot of doubts right now, and I don't even know. I'm kind of in like a suspended state where I don't really know how to move forward, and I don't really know what to do. I don't know what business to pursue. It's kind of like how when I was first starting business over the summer, I remember I just started reading these books, and I was like, my one task, like I just wanted to figure out what business to start. And literally took me like a month. And so I got to the point where I was at like my family vacation, and that was my entire task for that entire my only task for the entire week was to wake up and literally filter all events that happened to me through the question or through the filter of, can I make a business out of this? Like that was literally what I did. And I discovered a few like trash business ideas, but one of the ones that hit me that I started to pursue was like basically create a vacation home rental website, which at the time I thought was revolutionary because my grandparents were complaining about how they had to use an agent. So I thought it was perfect like opportunity, but I realized that like Airbnb, Verbo, I think Verbo, yeah, Verbo, like all these other things are already doing that. So I was like, whatever. Um, and then I found a few other ideas. Like one of the ideas that I actually used to start pursuing was acne business, which I'm not even passionate about acne at all. It's just it was called Stop Acne, and I actually filed it on Zen Business, but thankfully they didn't like file it to the state right away, and I was able to edit it and change it to Ascend Momentum, and changed it to like something I'm passionate about, which is self-improvement. And like that was the suspended state where I experienced like I didn't know where to even start, so I felt like I wasn't really achieving much. And I'm kind of experiencing that right now where I'm kind of thinking that this idea is not that great, or it's not even going to work. And I'm also aware that maybe this is just the resistance, and maybe I am on the right path and I'm just really close where I'm like right next to the gold, but I'm about to give up. So I don't know. That's why I'm continuing to record until I figure out like where my path is, because I feel like the path will hopefully get a little clearer when the days go by. Okay, so this morning, another conclusion that I came to, like right when I had that epiphany of just being present and not worrying about the past or the future, and then I also had the epiphany of, are you dreaming, like not being the victim to circumstance? Then I immediately like went down to the basement and wrote it down in my episode notes because I wanted to talk about it today. And then I went back upstairs and I had a few other epiphanies, which was like, why am I doing all this? Because someone told me to, which I just talked about. Find my why. And then like I have to figure out, why am I doing this? Like you can definitely find your why after you started it. So I just remember reading in a book called Create Don't Capture, Eric Thane, he had a successful business and then he found his why. Like he didn't find his why until well after his business was well established. So you can definitely go without a why for a little bit of time. So maybe I'm just worried about like all these little details and not really worried about the big picture. But the next thing that I remembered, or the next epiphany that I had, and this was in the morning when I was in this like really low state, like I was just talking about, when I was just feeling physically ill, just bad, everything. And my mental was not very controlled, all this stuff. And I was like trying to fight all this. I was like, I'm having an off day and I was trying to fight it. And then this thought like appeared in my mind, like it's okay to have off days. They're normal. Stop fighting it and accept it. Like, and then the moment that I just like stopped fighting it and accepted it, it also started to get better. So like all these things kind of happened around the same time. So I actually don't think that this epiphany actually came to me when I actually needed it. I think the epiphany that actually changed things was the am I dreaming? Am I the victim of circumstances? And then I kind of later, after the fact, tried to come up with like a explanation to it, and it was that. It was like, stop. It's okay to have off days. Everyone has them. Just stop fighting it and accept it. So I just stopped fighting my off day, and that's like that definitely helped. And then, okay, I want to talk about like where I'm headed in my business, just in life in general. Because 1 hour episodes for something that I'm not even sure, like 1 hour daily episodes for something that I'm not even sure of is even helping me, it's probably not like help. It's definitely hurting my progress in business. So if I'm not even 100% sure that this is actually a good business idea, then it's probably just hurting me more. So one of the things that I came to the conclusion is I'm going to maintain this 1 hour daily episodes. I'm going to maintain it for the time being. But I'm going to be on the lookout for my actual path. And it may just turn out that this is my actual path and I'm just being an idiot. But I'm going to maintain this current routine and look out for a business idea and then once I get into that, I'm going to dive 100% of my time into that. And just the decision I made right now, I'm going to maintain this podcast just like once a week, just giving updates, still documenting the journey. But that could change in the future. Like I could just decide to stop it altogether because it may not even be helping me. But right now, I still plan on maintaining the podcast in some form or another. But kind of my task right now is to come up with a business idea to actually pursue and actually dive all my time into. And I've already started to come up with certain plans on how to change my day around. For example, I was going to fast every single day. Like not do full fasts like Alex Hormozy did 2 days of full fast. Like he didn't eat at all in the entire day. But I was going to fast every single day, like do an intermittent fast every single day. And wake up at my normal time, don't do my routine. I would just wake up, do my routine up until I shower. So I would wake up, drink all my supplements and water, and then I would use the bathroom, brush my teeth, all that stuff, and then shower. And then I would meditate and then get straight into my day, like get straight into working. So I'd basically start around like 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:10 around in the morning, and then work until whatever time. Like right now I'm at school, so I'd basically have to work until like 7:20. So I'd get like 2 solid hours every single day. But then like once I'm done with school or on the weekends, I would probably work until like 12 or something like that. And then I'd figure out the rest later. But pretty much I realized that there's another thing that he said. All that remains is the work to be done. Like I'm just distracting myself with all this stuff in my routine. Like me balancing on my medicine ball, me going out for a walk every morning, me doing all this stuff. Maybe even meditating, I'm not sure. But all this stuff, I am distracting myself. And all that remains, all that's actually going to help me move forward, all that's going to get me forward and push me forward in my business, in my life, is the work. Like the work needs to be done, and that's what needs to be done in order to achieve success. And I've been distracting myself with all this routine to the point where I don't even have any time to do the work. I don't even know what business idea to do. Like I'm having doubts, like me having doubts about this podcast topples like the past 100 days of work that I've been doing. Like the only thing that I've been doing for the past 100 days was just working on the podcast. And now I'm having doubts of if this is even like beneficial or helpful to me, or gonna help me move forward in my future, in my like business. And another thing, so I read in Rework, I don't remember the exact like phrasing they used, but pretty much a half of a like amazing product. So if you have like a half of an idea but you execute very well, then that is better than full of half ASS product. That's basically what they said. So it's better to not have a complete but very good quality versus a complete but very bad quality. So I read that and I didn't really think of it much. But then when I was like sitting down here writing my show notes, trying to think of like things to talk about that happened today and that I learned today, this thought popped in my head and I was like, am I spamming a bunch of trash? Like I'm posting 3 TikToks every day, unedited, not like just posted. Like I just took one take for recording them. I just had one try and then edited. I didn't edit. Like I just recorded and then posted. And then on my podcast, it's the same thing. One take, just 1 hour of unedited stuff. So I'm asking myself, am I just spamming a bunch of trash? Maybe that's why I'm losing a bunch of followers on this podcast. Like I used to have 7 followers and now I have 5. Like I lost 2 followers this month. Which, yeah, 2 followers is not that much to lose, but that's like a quarter of my entire follower base. And yeah, like 7 and 4 or 5 is a very small number in the first place. So it's not really that big of a deal, but like people are leaving. So, and these small numbers seem big when one person leaves. People are leaving, and like when people leave, it's because they don't want to, like they're just not watching it anymore, which is probably because it's like bad quality. So I question if I'm just spamming a bunch of trash because I don't edit anything. I don't like the only thing that I'm getting better at is the actual quality of my own voice. Just because I'm getting the reps in, practicing every day. But like I said earlier, I feel like I'm plateauing. Like I've gotten 100 hours of podcasting practice, and I'm not really quite sure how to improve other than that, because in 10x is easier than 2x, he said that he basically debunked the myth of the 10,000 hour rule. Like there's a saying that if you have 10,000 hours of practice in something, you're an expert. But in 10x is easier than 2x, he basically said that that's not actually true, because if you just have 10,000 mindless hours and you're just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again, then you're not going to get much benefit. You're just going to plateau. But 10,000 iterations is where it's actually better. And then he went on to talk about how like athletes, like football players, they watch their game film after playing. And they're actually able to see the outside observer a different perspective of their own game. That's an iteration because they see where they went wrong and they fixed it. So I was also conscious of that a couple weeks ago when I read that book, and I was like, oh, maybe I should actually go back and listen to some of my content and see where I can improve. Didn't do that. Too lazy, I guess. Or it's because I don't have enough time in my day because I am so jam-packed on my routine. So I've gotten 100 hours, but I'm not really getting much more iterations because I don't know where I can like improve on. So that's why I asked if I'm just posting a bunch of trash. That brings me to the last thing, which I've already talked about, but I want to talk about a little bit more. Like I've been saying like the difference between the greats and the average is this and that. But what I'm realizing, like one thing that I heard from an actual great, like Alex Hormozy, he said the difference between like the greats, they don't have more on their plate. They actually have less on their plate. I don't think he said it exactly like that, but pretty much what I mean by that is the greats they don't figure out what to add to their routine. They figure out what to get rid of, what to take away. Like I'm pretty sure, I just inferred that from the fact that Alex Hormozy said in that video I was talking about that I saw last night, he basically said that he didn't take any meetings from 4 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I inferred that he like basically woke up probably at like 3:30 or 4 a.m. and then just worked for like 8 hours until 12. So I inferred that he basically worked from like 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., which means that he literally got rid of his entire routine and just focused on the work that needs to be done. Like you have to ask yourself, what are you going to move forward on? What's going to help you move forward? Well, the work. The work is like the business is actually what's going to help you propel you in life. Like a couple months ago when I actually decided to get into business, like towards the beginning of summer, I was really getting into like estrogenics and like improving my health. But it got like expensive and I realized that I needed to start making my own money so I can actually improve my health on like with my own money. And so that was like, I kind of forgot where I was going with this. I kind of just lost all my train of thought. But let me get some water. So, some things may be changing in the future. I'm on episode 102. I've actually posted 95 episodes so far as of recording. And I'm questioning. I don't even know. Like I'm already in the top, like I'm already higher than the top 1% of podcasters in the world. So I've already proven that I'm in here for the long game, but right now I'm kind of questioning if my podcast is fundamentally flawed. Like, did I start it for the wrong reason? Am I just doing it for the money? I'm not quite sure. Do I have the wrong like morals? Am I just spamming a bunch of trash? And also the thing is that I'm definitely dipping my toes in the water and I'm just becoming conscious of this. I wanted to still be improving my gym physique. I still wanted to improve my physique. I still want to do all this stuff and improve all this stuff. But I realized that like I said, I have to go all in. I have to go all in on what I want to truly what I want to grow, because it's when I first started I wanted to do it because of my health, but it's progressed to more than that. I want to be free. It's progressed more to from me like wanting to buy my own products to me wanting to buy my own fruit, me wanting to live at my own house, me wanting to be financially free, me wanting to travel the world and do whatever I want, me wanting the world to be my playground. Like that's what my kind of goals have, or my desires have progressed to. And I remember reading the 4-Hour Work Week. He was giving me very good. I just read it once towards the beginning of me getting into entrepreneurship, and he was talking about how he has trained people. Like he basically had you map out your like dreamscapes. I'm pretty sure it was what it's called. It's pretty much where you map out where you see yourself in 6 or 12 months. So I mapped out in 6 months because that was the end of the year. At the time, it was like January, February, March, April, May, June. It was like June. And so it was like June or July. So like 6 months from that point would have been the end of the year. So it would have been like 2024. So that seemed like a very good marker to map out. And I said that I wanted to go on a mountain trip. And then I also wanted to like go to Spain for like 3 months and learn Spanish. There's one other thing. Like I wanted to have a successful business or something like that. And he basically said, map that out for 6 months and then figure out like how much money you would have to make per month if you were to pay for these things on credit. So if you were to basically pay for these over the course of 6 months, how much would you have to make per month? And it was probably like just 10,000 or something like that. $10,000. I think it was much less than that, but I upped it to $10,000 a month. So that was like my goal by January 1st. Like that was my like what's the word? I don't even know the word. That was my goal for January 1st from 6 months. And he basically gave me like a very high hope. Like he has helped people achieve their goals in a much shorter period of time than that. And then I didn't follow his like model, his plan. And then I kind of like, as you guys have heard in this past episode, I kind of went off track. Kind of just worked on the podcast and I'm not really sure like what this is leading to. I kind of lost my vision. Maybe it's just my mental shifting because I'm like not in a good state of health right now. Maybe it's that, because I definitely know that that's a thing, because back when I was training all I wanted to do was make the high school soccer team, and I was training relentlessly, and then I got injured, and I knew that I thought that my chances were up and I wasn't going to be able to make it. So once I got injured, I just lost all hope, gave up everything, just dropped everything in my life. And that was like, I was not in a good state of physical health because I was injured, and I was like mentally like extremely low. So maybe I'm just in a low state of mental health, but who knows? Only time will tell. But it seems like I've been trending downwards over the past couple of weeks. I remember like in the episodes 90s, I was already having doubts of whether 1 hour episodes is even like good or not. Like once I stopped reading Transurfing, once I finished it reading the second time, I was having doubts of if I can even maintain 1 hour episodes daily. So there's a lot of things, and I did one thing today that was actually helping me towards my goal, which was I got my employer identification number, which is just something that you need to open a bank account. So I got that today for like literally an entire month and a half, like a whole, probably like 40 days after when I said I was going to do it is when I actually did it. But at least I actually did it. So that's something. But I kind of ran out of things to say for this episode, and I wonder why I even worry about 1 hour long episodes, because I'm sure the algorithm doesn't really care of the difference between a 59-minute long episode and a 1 hour episode, because it's basically the same thing. And like the difference between a 59 episode and a 1 hour long episode is the same as the difference between a 1 hour long episode and a 1 hour and 1 minute episode. So that I think that it's also been ingrained in my identity that I record daily 1 hour episodes on my podcast. So that's why I'm having such a hard time switching off of it, even though it's literally been like 2 weeks over 2 weeks since I realized that this is probably not the best thing. So make sure that you got to be very careful with your identity, and that's something that I need to listen to myself say. But that's it for today's episode. So if you enjoyed it, follow for more, and have a good day.